And we'll call the meeting to order. Roll call, please.
Good afternoon, everyone. Cindy Vaughn. Lisa Ward-Brown. Present. Lori Cunningham.
Here.
Dan DeMarco. Patricia DeMarco.
She's waiting.
Tina Doucet.
Here.
Nick Reesock. Mark Heckman. Kelly Kelly. Ken Lasada.
Here.
Ruth Ann Omer. Will Pickering. Mary Ellen Ramage. Tim Rogers.
Present.
Kathy Sapp.
Present.
Danielle Ventresca. Sean Alfonso Wells.
Present.
We have 8.
We not have a quorum.
Yeah.
So we cannot take any official actions on terms of the approval of the minutes or anything that would come before the body. However, in previous instances, the will of those present, we have gone through and had presentations and some discussion. Or you can cancel the meeting and say, everybody go home. Chair's discretion.
We will continue.
Okay.
We've been asked to have introductions of everyone this evening, so just go around the room. So start with anybody here.
Dan Sherrick, I'm with ALCOSAN, manager projects for.
Sarah, I'm with ALCOSAN with communications.
Sharon Stanowski, the ALCOSAN, governmental affairs.
With ALCOSAN, information technology.
Michelle Buys with ALCOSAN Environmental Compliance.
Catherine Sapp, over the Mayor of Penn Hills.
Stevie Conley, ALCOSAN Government Affairs.
Lloyd Cunningham, and Homestead Borough Council.
Jean Clark, ALCOSAN. Lisa Werder Brown, Watersheds of South Pittsburgh.
Tim Rogers, Sheila Township retired in Hampton Shaler Water Authority.
Monster River as well.
Julia Spiker, I'm with ALCOSAN. I'm the manager of the regionalization program.
Robert Max Yunker with Babst Calland, ALCOSAN solicitor.
Karen Fantoni, ALCOSAN finance.
Bud Jackson, ALCOSAN operations and maintenance.
Wilkins, executive director.
Hiding in the corner.
Thank you all. We will not have approval of minutes. Prior to the regionalization update, Lisa's asked to talk about openings.
I have to tell you, I brought my family to open house and I had 4 of my grandchildren and they had a blast. I just want to say that you guys did a really wonderful job, that my family totally enjoyed it. They were in here for a wedding. We had to hurry up. We had to like drag them away to get ready for the wedding on time. And the youngest, the 2-year-old, was petrified of Frankie the fish. But when he went home, that's all he talked about was Frankie the fish. So I just want to commend everyone from ALCOSAN for a great job and really wonderful family event. Thank you so much.
Until that evening when you had a nightmare.
I would echo that. And what I would give kudos to you about is the science stuff that you interact with the children. In my own personal life, both my children went to events similar to that and left those events saying, my daughter was going to be a chemical engineer, my son's an electrical engineer. So that put the seed in them. So what you're doing is really commendable, that the kids get to see it firsthand and see the bugs, and then all of a sudden their minds start going. So you do an outstanding job. And if that just gets a handful of the kids interested in it, it's worth every.
Yeah, it really was a fabulous event.
Thank you.
And you didn't have to work it this year.
I did not, but it was, I just really just felt that it was great to be there, be here, not working it, being here as, just a family coming and participating in all of the things. And again, the science stuff was fabulous. The older grandchildren loved that.
It is great to hear. The employees all enjoy that day as well. So we'll spread the good word.
Yeah.
Thank you.
The regionalization update.
Thank you, Lloyd. I'm gonna start by saying thank you for your time tonight. The amount of progress the region has made over the past year in regionalization is truly impressive. It feels like we've reached some big milestones. We know we have more to go. And I'm just gonna walk you through where we've been, where we're headed, and then what comes after regionalization when we start really realizing the benefits of having a more comprehensive integrated system. Thank you. So regionalization is one of the 4 pillars of our clean water plan. It's a component that supports the performance and operation of the system as a whole. We also have GROW, which I believe you guys gave you an update on last time. Forest or plant expansion is impossible to miss as you come here on site. And then our regional tunnel system that will serve as the backbone to help us all achieve those water qualities. But regionalization is a very important part of that program. It involves the voluntary transfer of certain lines that the municipalities have. So of about the 6,000 miles that are currently owned by the municipalities, there's 265 that are eligible for transfer to us. So the municipalities still have very much a stake in the game for the sewer business. We're going to continue to foster those partnerships and then just really help move some of those future improvements that are needed forward under the regionalization program. So we have 265 miles, but a lot comes with that. So there's over 6,000 manholes that will come along those lines. There's 4 pump stations and 4 wet weather equalization facilities that will also be eligible for transfer. I think one of the biggest changes would be those 100 plus municipal regulator structures and overflows that are transferring with that line. So Dave's going to talk about a lot of the partnerships that we fostered with those municipalities for your own consent order and agreements and how these regulators are part of that puzzle piece we're putting together. This is what ALCOSAN system looked like prior to the regionalization program. If we're fully successful, or when we're fully successful, we're getting all the sewers transferred over. This is what the ALCOSAN ownership portion of our collection system would look like. So it is a significant undertaking. Why are we doing this, right? And hopefully we've outlined some of the high points. We can dig into each one of these in a lot of different ways, but ultimately it alleviates the financial burden of those municipalities. When the sewers transfer to us, we are able to thoughtfully design, plan, and construct projects that address the issues across the sewer shed, absent of those artificial municipal jurisdictions. So we can really look at where can we get flow out of the system that shouldn't be there cost effectively, where are there capacity issues that need to be addressed, and we put it onto a plan. It also is what we do 24/7. It's all we do is wastewater conveyance and treatment. So we have our own internal staff and expertise, staffed by nothing but local residents of the area, to go out and perform some of those routine operation and maintenance costs. And that takes some of those financial responsibilities off the municipalities. The regulatory compliance is a huge part of the reason the program exists. And it's not just us and our goal of reaching those water quality standards and what the region deserves. It's also, we know that that is a heavy lift for the municipalities, for our customers. So we can help carry that. Michelle and her team, that's all they focus on, and they're just the best at it. We're open 24/7, so when emergencies happen, and they already have, along some of our transferred lines, we respond to them immediately. The biggest piece is that close partnership and just fostering that as we all tackle these issues together in partnership with Three Rivers Wet Weather, direct communication with our municipal customers. At the beginning of the year, we had 35 miles transferred, and that's a huge success, right? Long gone are the days that this is never gonna happen, the region can't work together like that. Nope, 35 miles transferred. So far this year, we have an additional 18 miles. Thank you, A68. But it took about, I think, a year and a half to 2 years of just collaboration and partnership between those municipalities and ALCOSAN of how do we make this happen and what does it look like, and the permitting component as well. So we have another 18 miles at DEP. On top of that, we have 86 miles in the queue. And that just means those municipalities have passed their resolution, they're in support of the program. We have to figure out how to address those remaining defects that we need to check off the list before it can come to us. So we're close to our goal. Minimum is 200, but we gotta get to 265. This graphically kind of shows where the different portions of the system are at. What I really like is that it's spread evenly across our service area. The municipalities of constructed sewers of different types, ages, materials, different financial advantages and disadvantages are all able to participate in the program. To get those 86 miles plus everybody else across the finish line of transfer, we have two approaches to help you address your defects. The first is we provided the CCTV, which shows where the problems in the sewers are. To the municipalities, they can repair them themselves. Send us back that documentation that's graded on a national standard for sewer pipe infrastructure. We take a look at that. If we're all satisfied that the defect is addressed, we move forward with permitting and transfer. Some municipalities say, I really want to participate. I can't have that kind of expenditure as one lump sum. ALCOSAN, can you work with us? And the answer is yes. We have a post-closing repair option that municipalities have already started to use that basically says we're going to transfer those sewer taxes and ALCOSAN will assume the obligation to make the repairs. Let's agree to the cost for those obligations up front, and then you have up to 3 years to pay that back. So it helps make that a more manageable expense for the municipalities that need that. We're also moving forward on facility transfers. The Oakdale pump station is currently operated by South Fayette. It's co-owned by 4 municipalities. Some of the growth in the region is coming from North Fayette. The pump station is undersized right now for the flows. So they said, okay, we've got about a 10-mile trunk line, mix of force main and gravity main, and we need to update this facility. We've engaged with the communities, all 5, for about 2 years as well, going over cost share, who's responsible for what. They requested that ALCOSAN move forward with upgrading the sewer line that's coming into the station that's eligible for transfer because they want to make sure that they're supporting their communities that are growing. And so we did that. We're working through design, we're working through permitting, we're working through transfer all simultaneously, all together. So once the sewers are ours, it's not like they don't have a plan and, okay, great, we're done. We've actually just started. So currently our consent decree has metrics, reporting, timelines for how ALCOSAN has to maintain these sewers that have come over from the municipalities. It involves regular inspection, it involves preventative maintenance, and it involves corrective maintenance for when that needs to happen. Our crews, today they were cleaning. I'll be honest, they're pretty excited that when they come back, they always let me know where we're at and what we saw and what we found. But we immediately begin inspection. That's the first step once your sewers come over. Where are they at now? Do a condition assessment. Where cleaning needs to be done, our crews are going out and cleaning. And then we start rolling it into a capital improvement plan of where we need to invest back into the communities and that infrastructure. Dan Sherrick, who introduced himself a little earlier, is going to be instrumental in that. Excuse me. 2 examples of the regulator structures that come over. This one is an SSO T29A10 surrounding Turtle Creek. That's transferred. We've installed flow meters. We're reporting on to the agencies. This is another example, also an SSO up in Sawmill Run, but you can see the difference of the type of infrastructure that's coming over. We've done our assessment, we've put our flow meters in, and we're also. Once these are ALCOSANs, we bring them up to our level of standards. We make sure that they're being operated and maintained in accordance with both the transfer agreement conditions, that everyone received the same set, and we make sure that we're keeping them in compliance with our own consent decree. In 2025, we have ambitious goals. Of those 86 miles that we saw, we want to get at least 50, but we're going to push. We're going to try to make sure anyone that wants to transfer is able to do that by the end of your own COA, which is 2026, I think. We're going to continue to support those multi-municipal efforts that we've done in conjunction with Green Rivers Wet Weather. Those have been amazing and help us get a whole POC transfer together. And then finally, those communities that need that additional outreach, our team is ready to go out there and make sure that they're getting the support that they need specific to their municipality to help them participate. And with that, I just want to thank you for your time. Thank you all. I know you've all played some part in helping us get this program off the ground and being successful. So thank you very much for that.
Julia, is anybody absolutely refusing the transfer?
Yes, it's few and far between.
And what reasons do they give?
So both of the reasons, so there's two that have actually said thanks, but no thanks. They were both at the end of the trunk line that's eligible, and it didn't make sense for them to transfer. I'm talking like 1/10 of a mile.
Okay.
We hear other reasons, but none of them have actually said,
Oh, okay, good, thank you.
sure, thank you.
Okay, any other questions? Thank you. Regionalization update from through.
Thank you. Well, Julie is always. Who can't not like this young lady? I'm our young lady because I'm a lot older. So, with that, I want to thank you for inviting Three Rivers tonight, to participate. It has been, a real pleasure for me to have stepped into this job. I worked before as a municipal manager, for 30 years. I was here when it all started. And today, it's so nice to hear about the transferring of the lines and how people were working together, because it wasn't that nice at the beginning. And Tim was around and it was, but you know, for the betterment of the region, we have all come together, and you can't ask for more than that. And a lot of that's to the team of ALCOSAN and the municipalities and the previous Three Rivers people, and just everybody putting their egos at the door, and we all walk in and do what's best for the region. So, so with that, hey Julie, which one?
Yeah, you're good.
Okay. Julie knows she has to help me all the time, so this map here this shows all the communities within the districts and what we have to do. Bottom line is just about everybody has to do something. Whether you had a CSO or you didn't, you know, the objective here is to get the I&I out of the system and move it forward. This gives you a quick example. So early on, we started this Gantt chart that runs through 2027. It's a timeline of where we're going to be. Now, for the separate SOAR communities, this 2024 was really a design and planning area. They have to design the projects to be in compliance. So a separate SOAR community either had to get below this gold line standard that was created just for this region. I know a lot of the ALCOSAN engineers and the municipal engineers all work together to develop this standard of what really happens in our region, not some national standard. So the goal is to get to that. If you had an SSO, you have to reduce the flow by 10% or eliminate the SSO or come up with a plan. For the combined source, and the nice thing, you know, hindsight's always 20/20. We had that would be perfect. In the separate SOAR communities, we had fixed deadlines. December 31st of this year, designs had to be done and bid, and everything's going to go up. The problem with combined source is it was 18 months from the day you signed. Well, that sounds great. But if community A had flow going to community B went to community C, they all signed at different dates. What 18-month date do you use? Now, I will say the regulatory agency has been very good with us in coming to an agreement on what's that happen. I mean, bottom line is they want compliance, not. So municipal partners, you'll see, we really have partnerships going on in the whole region. Everybody is working together. You'll see a few white areas, and those white areas are where communities were below the gold line standard. They didn't have any SSOs, and they chose to take the route of passing a municipal ordinance that allowed them to do lateral inspections to the home at the time of sale. But everybody else is diligently going after their work. And so you can see how we're all, it's proud to be like that. So in these are the ones with SSO requirements. So they had to do plans to eliminate the SSOs. And took a lot of coordination, and we were specifically involved in the ones outlined in black. When I see specifically involved, those communities really needed some technical experience or expertise beyond what they could bring in and make it affordable. So, you know, with our help from ALCOSAN funding, we were able to go into these communities. And at all these meetings, we always had the ALCOSAN engineers at the table. Julie and Tim were always there. Because on several of these lines, we go back to the municipal transfer, there's SSOs on those lines that are going to end up being the ownership of ALCOSAN. So when I emphasized to them, and everybody was in agreement, let's just not do something that says some pie in the sky idea and just throw it off to ALCOSAN and let them redo it. We really got into the engineering part that let's make it realistic. And what we're doing is a realistic use of what's going to happen. So it was come together. So out of those, we've they were supposed to be due on December 31st of 2023. There was no way we were going to make that. Just no way, because communities. We went to the agencies and said, listen, you got to give them more time. We got June 30th out of it. And a lot of them came about with that. And I guess the key point I'm trying to make here is the regulatory agencies are working with us because we're working together. And I think they know that. They're at a lot of our meetings. And a few communities are up to September. We had to get them. We have one right now that's at the end of the year. It's pretty complex one. So far 18 plans have been submitted, and that's 26 communities. And we are in the process, while they were submitted to the health department, they provided each one of us to it. We have it on a shared site where everybody can look at. We are now extracting the data from that to see what is really the cost, what is the magnitude, and what's going on. So out of those, the total cost as of today to put in tanks, and there would be 13 EQ tanks proposed. Out of that's about $104 million that would be expended throughout the region for that. The ones that will be transferred to ALCOSAN would be roughly about 70 million that would have to be off them. So now that this is what we're doing with that plan, and you'll see. So here, I think it's with Walk the Run. It's estimated to be almost $34 million to do it. And again, the cooperation. I remember this one distinctly. The conversation between ALCOSAN and the communities really helped. This one, we were able to redirect some flow from one point of connection on the Chartiers Creek to a separate point of connection to move the flow around. It stopped. It allowed an SSO currently a park along in with Walk Run in Bridgeville. It allowed it to be reduced by about 30-some% of what is coming out to the environment just by moving this flow to a different POC, adjusting some rear plate they had inside. And so that is monumental in a park, which we don't want. So, and when I get into that, you know, Julie and Tim had a lot of help with where we could site some of the equalization tanks, and we made sure when we talked about siting of the equalization tanks, if you show our maps, we kind of show a broad circle of where it's going to be, because we all know those become controversial when they're put in, or just, you know, people don't understand it. But we had assurances, pretty much assurance from the communities, that that was a viable site, that it could occur on without hopefully a lot of not in my backyard. So, you know, as we go into this, every community was assigned an Exhibit B. The ones we talked about had the SSOs, gold line standard, get below. So light blue is good, red's bad, purple's not as bad, but you have to get to blue. That's really the bottom line, what you have to do. This community has 2 that they would have to do reserve, and 1 with an SSO that they have to repair. So now that everybody has had that order of what they have to do, this year what we worked on was planning on what your projects are going to be to get the compliance. So to get below the gold line standard, what do you have to do? So everybody has come up with their plans. We've created this data sheet that we're asking them to fill out, which they are gathering, and will be submitting back to us. We will create a database that's searchable. Obviously, we're going to share it with our partner here at ALCOSAN, so you can see what's going on. But, you know, there's our job's to stop that overflow before it gets. You're doing a fantastic job here at ALCOSAN on increasing the capacity, but we have to get it to that point without it coming over. So that's where we're really concentrating on here. And I'm pleasantly surprised how open everybody is to fill out these forms and to get them back to us. So combined SOAR communities, you know, a little different. They have a different matrix they have to comply with. They have a 85% capture rate, and that's in the wet weather. They have to be gathered this capturing 85% before it goes out in the environment. If you were below the 85%, you had to increase it by 10%. There are some communities that are 50, you have to go to 60, whatever that would be. So, you know, early on, there was a lot of communities who were saying, well, I'm at 50%, but isn't the tunnel and what ALCOSAN's plan going to do helping me? And we were like, yes, but the agencies were like, doesn't matter. This is your order, you have to do it. Well, persistence. You know, I would talk to Mike and Julia, and we would all talk about it. I know Michelle was involved with that. And DEP started to come around, and they asked us to take a look at what it would do to communities if they receive some benefit from the plan, because it's the same ratepayers, the same money. And our thing was, why spend it twice if we can spend it more efficiently? Well, I'm pleased to say that they agreed. And, you know, that's again, working as a team, as a region, we were able to sit down. ALCOSAN provided us with us at Three Rivers with modeling information. We ran those models and we showed how it benefited the communities that could help. So you have a community here in Turtle Creek that went from a 49% capture rate, but the tunnel is going to they're going to go to 92%. They don't have to do no work in that POC. So you look at this community, they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 POCs. Under the order, they have to do work in every one of those to get them to that 85% or 10%. So you can see, you know, they got 2 greens now. Now, during our negotiations, we had to give a little. And the agreement was, well, if this order allowed somebody, this work that ALCOSAN is doing bumped you by 10%, that's not your compliance matrix. It just helps you get closer to the end goal. So even though they went from 45 to 67, they still have to do the 10% project. And but it was a benefit to them to start moving this. And while we can work as a region, and again, is which ones are more economically feasible to get to? Not all of them. So there is an affordability analysis that a community can do. Under the combined sewer communities, they can do an affordability analysis that allows them to say, I can only do $1 million worth of work, even though I have to spend 10 million to get to my ultimate goal. But I need to set out a plan how to get there. So again, what we're doing now is they have met their timelines, most of them, that we can kind of figure out, cobble together all these 18-month things, and they have submitted a list of projects that they have to do. So with that list of projects, we were able to help them divide, like if this one community here is 61% combined, they don't have to do 10%, they got to do a 6.1%. So it gets kind of complicated and kind of work everything together, but we're working through that. They're filling it out. And this is a community, Mount Hall, that has completed their list of projects. And this is a project they wanted to do. And what I wanted to point out here is this project right here. It's a green infrastructure, storage and infiltration. It's a $2 million, almost $2.4 million project. That project came about because of a joint meeting. And when we were talking about how we needed to control the source, Three Rivers had looked at how much area they had to control from the impervious surface. And pervious surface, I get the two mixed up. So at that meeting, again, our friends were there, Jolie and Tim. And they said, we have this concept about a project that might work in this area. Can you look at it more? So we looked at it more from the modeling standpoint and what it could happen. Monhall's engineers, with help with our engineers, came up with the project, and it became a GROW project. And 1.5 million of it's going to be funded by GROW, or 67%. But bringing everybody to the table helped expedite where that project could go and how we could put it together. So I can't emphasize enough, we got to keep working together, and I know we will. So in order for the engineers to design the required combined sewer and separate sewer projects, we had to do modeling. And ALCOSAN has a very robust model of the system. But if a community was to get that model and run that model to see how it's affecting their area, it might take them 3 days, 4 days for that model to churn through the whole process. So our engineers worked with ALCOSAN engineers, Sam specifically, and we received an overall model from ALCOSAN, and then we clipped it to just go between certain areas that only affected that municipality. So now the engineer for that municipality, when they put the calculations in and what they thought could be removed into that model, they could spit it out in a couple hours. So if it didn't work, it was like, well, we need to adjust a little bit more. It's not just 2 or 3 days. And what I was told by some of the engineers, some of the engineering firms' computers might not have even been able to handle the larger one. So that has worked. And what we did with that is we said, okay, if we're going to get this model to you, we want your changes back. Because if we don't get those changes back, it never gets into this overall model that allows ALCOSAN to start seeing what the real effects are at the plant from what's being done in the system upstream. So it's again, it's that collaboration, that full circle. One of the things we worked on is I'm a believer that if we can make the regulatory agencies happy and easier to work with, it becomes a more cohesive work plan. So what we worked on was a template so that when these SSOEP reports were submitted, the source reduction programs were put together, that everything was done on the same template. So they weren't getting 80 some different formats on how it was set. And the feedback we've got is they love it. They can go to section 5 or whatever and see what's going on this, section 4 to see. So that has really helped the process of them being able to evaluate. Affordability template, we worked and put together an easier form for the municipalities to use, taking the EPA template and breaking it down. Our engineers came up with, they call it a cap tool. It allows the municipalities to put in data that they can determine how much of this impervious area they need to create. Model revisions templates. One of the things that I learned, I always tease Sam when the engineers are talking about modeling. I know much about model. It's not what I get out of it. It's very sophisticated. But the key was everybody had to kind of make their notes the same way so that everybody was focused on the same. So that's why we had to work on this template so that the engineers were putting it all down. And it really was beneficial even to that local engineering firm that if engineer A left the firm or walked away or retired, there was still some cohesive data that was put together. List of project template and FAQs. So FAQs on the COA, what was that? Well, the document was put together. It sounded good until we started working with it. And it was like, oh, what do you do in this situation? So in Three Rivers, we would formulate a question and send it off to DEP. Many meetings, we work those out and we come to an agreement that this is what it says. You know, as for the SSO on McLaughlin Run, we came up with that plan to reduce it by 30% going to the environment. The order said you have to reduce 10% of the flow into the SSO. DEP said, well, that 30% going to the environment doesn't meet the requirement of 10%. I'm like, well, we're removing 30% from the environment. Isn't that our goal? And about 3 meetings later, and our engineers working on showing them if you took the 10% out going into the SSO, nothing really was affected. So persistence, and we've got it. They come up with something, we still have to look at some type of flow reduction upstream, but we don't have to really hit the 10%. So, overall, it's been a great year, a very busy year. Now we have to finish this compiling, get all the data to the people that need it so we can know. And one of the things I think that we haven't done on the municipal side was get the message out of what it is costing to fix up in the collection system. We've never cataloged it. So, you know, it's not all should be how much ALCOSAN is spending and everybody's bad. You know, it's everybody has to spend. So our goal is to find all these costs, catalog it, and see what type of work is being done. And then when we start monitoring, we can start telling maybe what was the most effective bang for your bucks in what we were using. And DEP has said in numerous conversations with us, there will be a third order. We call this phase 2, there will be a phase 3. You know, we went into phase two, everybody thought, oh, this 10% reduction and get below the gold line standard, that was a great matrix. But nobody knew what it was going to cost. So now we can quantify what that was. So when we go into the next negotiations, we'll have real data that allows us to make educated arguments with them as to what we should really be doing. And so that's kind of where we're at. This next year, we're going to do a lot of planning and following up on these projects. But again, thank you very much. And again, on behalf of Three Rivers and all the communities we help, we couldn't do it without our partnership on ALCOSAN. So we appreciate that very much. And I'll take any questions or. Everything I would say on the regionalization, I think all of it's great about what we're doing. But there's one thing, and I remember as a municipal manager, having a conversation with your executive director, because we were having a development in the community I worked in, 270 apartment units. Big for us. It was a big development. We needed a neighboring community to sign off on the planning law. ALCOSAN had signed off saying the treatment plant can handle it. We knew we could handle it. The community between us would not sign off. And I remember talking about Arletta and saying, this is a shame that this downstream community is holding us hostage. 2 years it took us to finally convince that community to sign off. The tax revenue that was lost in those years. And I remember telling Arletta, this would be better if you owned this, because I only have to deal with one person. So kudos to you for pushing that project.
Okay. Thank you. I think we all add kudos to ALCOSAN on every project that we take on together because they're very, very competent partners. So, update on Clean Water Assistance Fund.
Cars. Oh, wonderful. Thank you. Oh, they're not just.
We would.
We had these sitting out, right? Actually, these are the ones that I said to this. We did a couple of the promotion cards in different formats that we did a short run of them, not a terribly short one. We asked people at the open house, which do you like better? And they liked this this visual. We actually like the back of the other one better. So these are not the final cards, but these are perfectly usable. Great. The Clean Water Assistance Fund was created in 2016. And I was majorly involved in the marketing of it. And of course, we made a decision that we would go through the municipalities to raise standards to promote. And the municipalities were willing to put it on their website and provided them with information, but they're too busy to be doing anything more than that. In addition, we were working with Dollar Energy, and we still are, and their promotional plan at that point was to work through social service agencies that they engaged. And each social service agency that filled an application to ALCOSAN would get a fee. But the social service agencies had high turnover and didn't really understand the ALCOSAN system. It's a very complicated system. Because unlike UK Line, doesn't matter where you live, you have UK Line. Most of our ratepayers don't get direct bills from us. So they pay the bill to their water company or to another agency. And so they may not even notice the ALCOSAN fee on there or understand what it means. And so the social service agencies were not really able to figure it out. And it took us a while to find out. During COVID, we asked Dollar Energy to provide us with phone numbers so people could apply online. there were difficulties with that phone number, and then when the agencies came back after COVID, or not after COVID, because when COVID was bad, when we came back out of the crisis, a lot of their employees didn't come back. Some of them who didn't want to be in a room with another person. And so we found that we were not building the program the way we wanted to. And our numbers were really pretty starkly low. So we had to pull all that apart and try to figure out how could we meet the needs of the people who we wanted to have the service. We also need to recognize that everybody's lives has changed as a result of the internet and COVID, so that we communicate very differently than if we don't realize. Our brain chemistry, if you read the CMU brain science work, is fascinating. Our brain chemistry has actually changed because of the inundation of the internet and multiple TV channels, multiple sources, and the fact that we have lost what little attention span we have. So you have to really get people's attention in a very quick and easy way to kind of get them. I always tell people, when they're flipping around, they can watch the news or Seinfeld. Even if they've seen Seinfeld 15 times. So we have that challenge. We also have the challenge with people need simple information, because if you inundate people with too much information, it paralyzes their ability to act. So they really didn't need to know super details about everything. That can be handled in the process. We just needed to figure out a way to tell them this exists. You can apply, it's easy to do. So that's why this one. We came up with this. Our objective was to fuel awareness and grow enrollment in our customer assistance program with simplified messaging and targeted outreach. So everybody voted for this visual, as I said, because it's simple. And even though I know our friend Darla Carvana is probably not happy with me because that's the city and it's the county, but we couldn't find a real picture of the county. And this is kind of a little bit different, engaging, etc. So this is going to be kind of the signature visual that you're going to see. We also, our messages, applying is as easy as 1, 2, 3. 1, make sure you pay an ALCOSAN bill. If we're meeting with people on a one-to-one or talking with them on the phone, we can give them a couple hints on how to do that. Number 1, look at your bill. You're going to need to find that bill anyway. Number 2, they can go follow the flush on our website. Because if you plug in your address and follow the flush, well, it takes a while to tell you how long your food gets here.
22 minutes, not too much.
How many communities? Press 1. But it will come up with an answer if you're an ALCOSAN ratepayer. Apply through Dollar Energy. So as of right now, we have an online application that is in testing that should be available at the end of this week, that they'll be able to apply online. And then number 3, provide your proof. Your proof of your ALCOSAN bill and your proof of your income. Putting out charts for people with the income. Again, that changes every year. And, it kind of, again, I have to really figure this out. I'm not going to do it if it's wrong. If you don't qualify, we'll let you know. Dollar Energy will let you know. I mean, obviously, we're saying it's for low income. So then we decided to target the municipalities with this first part of the project. These are our 12 lowest median household income communities. And we felt that that was where the highest percentage of need. And so we are engaged, we're starting with this big project to use as a pilot to get the word out and get people signed up. Some of them will be easy to do because for a lot of our billboards, et cetera, they're in the same area. The same general area. But we're pretty happy with what we're gonna be doing. We are gonna have a postcard mailed to all ALCOSAN residential customers, ratepayers, except those who already receive our service, our customers. We're gonna have bus shelters and bus ads, billboards, paid social media. And with paid social media, you can really deliver directly to the people you're targeting. You can pick geography, you can pick income, you can pick gender, there are all different ways you can sort this unbelievable we are the product for Facebook. Because we give information and they use it to help. So if you ever wondered why, you looked up a pair of shoes, then suddenly started getting shoe ads, it's because Facebook can personalize those ads. So same with Instagram. And digital display ads that will go directly to people's devices. Again, with all of this electronic ability, you can reach a whole lot of people repeated times without a whole lot of expense. And the rule of marketing is repeat, repeat, repeat. You never see one Coca-Cola ad. You see 100 of these, especially at Christmas. So we're going to be in market for 8 weeks. We're going to start with postcards, and then by the beginning of December, we'll be rolling out the ad campaign around it. So, we're also going to be doing, we have been doing dedicated in-community outreach to both municipalities and ratepayers. Sharon's been going out to the municipalities. We found out, for instance, that some of the municipalities have Jordan Tax Service coming once a month to their communities because some people don't look at their bills online, and so they can collect checks. So we're there to talk to them about whether they know someone. That's the other thing. We would ask people if they need help. Say, you know somebody who might need help. So that we're not starting off by putting people off. And in fact, as we did at the open house, we had one young person come and say, my grandmother could use this. And we want people to be interested too. Our ALCOSAN owns social media part of it, which is what Geneva in communications does. She's done an incredible job with social media. We're going to do direct outreach to the social service agencies, but with the ability to do online applications, we won't be as dependent on them. But we want them to know, because some people will want to go to an agency. And it's particularly good if they need help from more than one utility. Because what we try to do is work with other utilities and their customer assistance programs so that people can apply for more than one in one visit. But that means we need to go out and meet with those agencies, not just once a year, but repeatedly. And outreach by and with our utility partners. PWSA has already gone out to their recipients to make sure that they know that we have a program too. They have a whole department that goes out. And they do go to people's houses if necessary to sign them up. We have too many houses to do that. But PWSA and Duquesne Light are carrying our materials for us. And they're going to be Duquesne Light hires door-to-door people too. So they'll be handing out our stuff on the doors. But we've made the decision not to do any of this stuff. So our success today, we got an online application form. In addition, working with Dollar Energy, we were able recently to identify all of the, not all of them, but many of the people who receive hardship grants from other utilities and match them if they were ALCOSAN customers, ratepayers, to get included in our Clean Water Assistance Fund. Dollar Energy took the lead on this, and we worked with them. Karen's department was amazing in helping us do this. And that because we had to confirm folks were in fact paying out the same bills. And so as a result of that, we sent out, Dollar Energy sent out a postcard to all the people we identified that said, you're now receiving ALCOSAN's Clean Water Assistance Fund. So it was an opt-out situation. They automatically got signed up. And if they didn't want to be signed up, they had to let us know. They had to let Dollar Energy know. As far as I know, we only had one call, and that was, why am I getting this? And once we explained it to them, they were fine. So as a result of that, we've grown the program from 1,276 to 2,496 in 1 month. So then the next step, after we get through this portion, we're going to sit down, we're going to have metrics, we're going to be looking at it and say what worked, what didn't work. And we'll be rolling it out to the rest of the communities and out there talking to all the municipal managers and their elected officials, et cetera. Because you always want to review, revise, and repeat because it's simple. So, any questions you have?
Yeah, two things. How is Dollar Energy funded? Do they juice the bills or are they?
We pay them a fee.
You pay them a fee?
Yeah.
And is there an average amount that is saved by an applicant on their ALCOSAN bill?
Right now it's $45.
Okay. Thanks.
Great job. And even from the people who are online, who are probably watching. Well, thank you all very much. This has been a great program to work on. I appreciate it.
And Jeannie, I just want to say it's a great program that you actually have to opt out of.
Yeah.
That's great, great. Congratulations.
Okay. Any members have reports on activities in their watersheds?
I have lots of. In Sawmill Run, you know, we actually have had the fruition of 4 major projects have come to fruition in 2024. We're really excited about the work. We received funding from DCNR and RK Mellon in 2023 to do a master site development plan for Sawmill Run, and we identified 6 priority areas for stream restoration and greening along there. The master plan was more comprehensive than just looking, it wasn't a watershed improvement plan, it wasn't a stream restoration plan. It was looking at all the major issues along Sawmill Run. We looked at transportation, we looked at pedestrian issues, we looked at stormwater runoff, we looked at flooding, we looked at properties along Sawmill Run. And you know, when I talk about Sawmill Run to the public, I usually ask people in the room if anyone has been along that 5-mile stretch in the city of Pittsburgh. And you know, at least half the audience raises their hand and I ask them, isn't that the ugliest stretch of highway in the state of Pennsylvania? And I challenge them to tell me that there's another one, because then I'll stop saying that. But the fact is anyone who's been along there knows how complex the issues are. We had, during the planning phase, we had all of those people at the table. We call it the corridor of corridors because we have the PRT light rail, we have the busway, we have Norfolk Southern Railway, we have the stream, and we have Route 51. So it's a very complex system. And so one of the major things that came out of this planning was, first of all, we had to present it to the city of Pittsburgh and get it approved by the planning commission, which they did unanimously. And in fact, they said, why hasn't somebody done this before? And so we were pretty happy about that. DCNR, of course, accepted it, thought it was a great plan because it's very comprehensive. It looks at things in a very specific way that they want to see have happen in many of their projects. So we were excited about that. One of the main things that came out of this planning process was that the agencies don't coordinate. Nobody comes together and talks about the issues on a regular basis. So one of the things that is at the top of the list was to form a task force that met regularly. So we have received help from Hilltop Consultants at Georgetown and River Network to create a structure for this task force, and we will be implementing the task force in 2025. So we're very excited about moving forward with that. The other project that we did was an economic flooding study, something that was very comprehensive, very detailed. We looked at every single parcel along Route 51 from 88 down to the West End. And we looked at what the businesses were, what the property values were, how much money the businesses made each year. We looked at their profits. And what we discovered was that along Route 51, all of those parcels and the properties and the businesses, they are really valued at about 50% less than comparables in the county, which is significant. And so we looked at that in parallel to the master plan and looked at what the possibilities are if you start to green some of these areas, how we can see improvements, economic improvements along that corridor. In fact, the consultant HDR and Tom Matroni and I are going to be presenting this plan tomorrow at the Ohio River Basin Alliance Summit in Pittsburgh. So we're excited about that. That was the third thing. That was great. Or the second thing. The other thing was we received funding from the Forbes funds in 2023 to create a regional watershed council. So we've been working with a consultant to develop that. And we're pulling together all the watersheds so that they can start to work in concert rather than saying, oh, we're going to stay in this silo, this silo, this silo. We're all going to start to work together on mutually beneficial projects and to start to promote sound policies within the state and local government. So we're excited about moving that forward. That should all be wrapped up by the end of November, and we're going to be moving forward with trying to gain funding for that project. The other thing is that, and Michelle, you remember this, the infamous integrated watershed management plan. We have not shelved that. We are still working on that. And in fact, Dave helped us out a great deal by coming to attend a meeting that we had with DEP last week. And, Three Rivers Wet Weather and ALCOSAN and all the municipalities have been working very closely on the SSOs and the CSOs and getting the poop out of the water, so to speak. But there are still issues in our streams. And in fact, when we did all of the data on Sawmill Run, we found that the majority of the problems in Sawmill Run are not caused by the CSOs. They're caused by the stormwater runoff. And we have, and any stream that is, all of my streams have TMDLs on it. They have TMDLs on nitrogen, phosphorus, sediment, and we all have acid mine drainage issues. That needs to be solved in a multi-municipal way as well. And so we were meeting with DEP. It was interesting because, and Dave, I don't know if you've had this, but it's always been my issue with DEP. Like many of the municipalities, they're looking at permit cycle to permit cycle and not looking far into the future. And my work is as a as somebody who's the head of a watershed organization is, I'm thinking 20, 25 years in the future, what's it gonna look like? And how can we get the streams up to where they're supposed to be? Like the EPA says that Sawmill Run should be, their designation is a warm water fishery. We're not close to that. And the fact is that it's not gonna happen if we don't have multi-municipal cooperation. And so we had a really, I felt it was a very successful meeting with DEP. David was so gracious to come, and really grateful to him for joining us and helping to clarify some of these issues with the folks down there. And they were so much more receptive than they were back in 2019 than when we first started talking about these issues with them. So we're moving forward. And I have to say that also our organization is creating a much closer relationship with Three Rivers Wet Weather, where Dave and I are going to be sharing an employee, and we're starting to look at working together on other projects. So we have a lot to be thankful for in 2024 and a lot to look forward to in 2025.
I think one of the things you need to help clarify with DEP on Sawmill Run, they seem to think that it was all going to be fixed because of the COAs,
Yes.
the SSOs and the CSOs. And really, when you look at it, that's probably one of the least affected areas with SSO overflows. I don't really know about CSOs because we haven't really got into the city's work yet.
Mm-hmm.
But they were like, well, it's all being taken care of
they
because
just do that.
of what's going on. And like, Chris, you're mixing two different things
Yeah.
here. So we might need to be able to graphically show them like there's really not that many CSOs up there. It's not really ALCOSAN's problem. It's a more
It's a broader, it's a watershed wide problem, and it's true of most urban streams. I do have to say the other thing that we do on a regular basis is we do litter cleanups, not just in the stream. And we have 17 miles of open stream in Sawmill Run, and with all the little tributaries. And so it's hard to get down into the stream in many of these places, but we do it. The main thing we do is a lot of street litter cleanups. And we have taken out tons and tons and tons of litter from the streets that we do on a regular basis. So if you have, for the municipalities, if you have a watershed organization that you can partner with, that they can help you with those kinds of, because that's part of your compliance, is to keep that stuff out of the system. And the best way to keep it out of the system is to get it before it gets into the system.
Hard to understand litter, isn't it?
Oh, I don't understand why people can't, especially along 51, why people can't keep it in their car and take it into their house and throw it away. It's beyond me. It's beyond me. But that's the way it is. So thank you so much. And thank you, ALCOSAN, for all the help that you've provided me in the past. I appreciate it.
Anyone else? Okay. Committee discussion.
Ken, do you want to say something? It looks like you took your mute off.
I did take my mute off. I'm getting prepared for the Ken Lasso, the mayor of Heidelberg. I was hoping to make a motion to adjourn here sometime soon.
Okay. Committee discussion on structure and plans for 2025. This committee is kind of reactive rather than proactive. I don't know if the handful of us here can make any real plans in the future, but it's something everyone needs to think about.
I'm dismayed that we can't get more.
To be fair, we would have had one, except one member had a funeral, sudden death. family
Okay.
between yesterday and today.
Can we have the solicitor, investigate if a quorum can be established as a majority of members present?
So we are set up through the ALCOSAN board's bylaws that just says the majority of advisory committee members. We have, because you have 21 total seats and we have some vacancies, we have interpreted that we have 17 active members, seated. Maybe or look to the county executive to name and fill the 4 seats. It's a consideration. It is not dictated by Municipality Authorities Act or any other type of municipal code. It is a consideration. But right now we are a majority of seated members.
And on another municipal board, and they amended the bylaws a number of years back to majority of members present just to counter this condition.
Yeah. It's a consideration. I mean, we have not looked at the bylaws in this particular creation of the advisory committee since 2018, when I think it was first started or so. But I mean, I think the bylaws refer to the interim wet weather plan, so it's already out of.
I think we should inquire to the members who are consistently unable and whether their interest is still in the committee. And if not, then give us a resignation.
Yeah.
And then give the executive an opportunity to fill the positions, possibly even reduce the size of the committee.
If I can speak up here on this, we make multiple contacts with
God,
every
yeah.
member prior to meetings and in between meetings.
At
And
least 5 emails. that I get.
Yeah. Emails, phone calls.
Yeah,
Steve's on the phone with advisory committee members all the time. If you all would talk to people who also represent
Your basin,
your
yeah.
basin, maybe that would help. I don't know. We changed the frequency of meetings. We changed the time of meetings to accommodate folks who are employed elsewhere than municipalities.
you're even tossing out dinner.
And we're.
Yeah.
Right. Because I firmly believe you can attract people with food, they're nicer to you too. I don't know that staff can answer this.
No, it's not on staff, it's on the members.
Yeah.
I mean, if you can't make meetings, if you're missing 2 or 3 meetings,
Well, we would be
You're off.
happy to share.
Well, I have noticed that Mark Heckman, you still have Mark Heckman on. I think Mark Heckman left the region. I don't even think it lives in the region anymore.
I leave a message on his voicemail.
Yeah, but that's different than him
Yeah, that's
leaving the
right.
region.
Right.
Yeah, if you send the emails out to him also. Jim.
Yes.
They don't bounce, yeah.
They don't bounce, but
Yeah.
that's again different than
Right.
leaving the region, so,
Tim?
yeah, I think that's a good idea.
Those numbers.
nice, I
Yeah.
think it's good. Thank you.
We do have a forfeiture provision. If a member is not in attendance at more than 3 out of any 6 consecutive meetings, he or she will be notified by the board that his or her membership has been forfeited. The board shall request the committee appoint to fill the vacancy by appointing another individual from the watershed basin.
Yeah, I think that's, yeah.
How many
I
members
don't
do you
think
have?
we
Sam?
invoked it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah,
I always look at some of the committees in the morning. Sometimes you have too many people. It's
yeah,
like
Yeah.
mental masturbation to deal with a lot of people sometimes, and maybe we're just too big.
yeah,
Maybe we ought to cut it down to 2 members per base.
yeah.
But I mean, we're coming to these meetings and we're outnumbered by staff.
Yeah.
There's a problem with that?
Absolutely.
No, I'm impressed. I mean, the last thing you guys want to do is
Yeah.
be here late on a Wednesday night. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
it's just, it has always been a continuum. of,
Yeah,
And don't belong to something you can't make.
right.
I'll be in Florida in January, but I'll dial in.
Mhm.
You can send dinner down.
Show us your skin cancer.
Yeah. You said them cut off again, Monday night. But, it's something we need to do as our board.
Yeah,
Before we get into whatever committee we're gonna be on,
yeah,
we gotta show up.
So Ken, are we ready to make a motion to adjourn?
Oh,
public-
Mr.
any
President,
other-
Ken Lasoda, of Heidelberg, I'd be happy to make a motion to adjourn.
Second motion.
Okay, we stand
Thank you.
adjourned.
Thank you all very much.
Happy Halloween to everyone. Have a-
If you want to take food.
Yeah.
Otherwise, we'll